Hi, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're gonna be talking about the Stockli Montero AR. Now, I ski these in a 180 centimeter length. That means that they have a 17.3 meter turn radius. They are 84 millimeters width underfoot. Typically the kind of person looking for this is somebody who maybe raced in the past or just has like a high priority in carving. These skis were provided to me by Stockli, but I'm not paid by Stockli. I have informed them from the very beginning that I will give my honest opinions. It allows me to let people exact test on them. So I really appreciate Stockli having the confidence to send me these skis and let me test them. They have actually changed for 2025 as well. These are not the same as the 2024 skis. I did review and ski on the 2024 Stockli Montero AR and really liked them, but they have changed and updated them, and I think it is a big change in my opinion. On the surface, it doesn't look like much if you just look at them side by side, but on foot, it feels like a big change. Now, that doesn't automatically make the older version bad, and I would still recommend if you are looking for a discount that the 2024 version is perfectly fine. But anyway, just wanted to give you kind of like full disclosure on my relationship with Stockli. I don't get paid by them. I just get sent the skis and give my honest opinion. So without further ado, let's talk about how they actually felt. So first impressions, holy cow, I love this ski. This ski made me re-appreciate how much I love carving. This was the best carving ski I've ever skied on in my life. I'm not trying to say this like dramatically, it was almost like a religious experience. Essentially what it does is it has like the perfect blend of carving bite and responsiveness mixed with smoothness through the turn. We'll get more into details, but that was kind of my first impression. Was a lot of skis kind of struggle with that. Maybe they have a little too much bite, or they are maybe more prioritizing dampness and smoothness. And this ski, as far as carving goes, seemed to really find that perfect mixture. I talked a little bit about construction, but let me show you the skis kind of up close. Not a tremendous amount of camber. One of the big updates they changed, at least from what I was reading, is some of these wider tails. There's a little bit more base to kind of stand on back there. As always with Stockli construction, where they really specialize in that dampness is the layers of essentially rubber shavings that they put in between layers that allow it to be damp. In some of the other Stockli skis, like the Stormrider 95, I have been critical because I think sometimes when a ski is too damp, it can almost drain the energy from your feet and it can be exhausting to ski on. That was not the case with these. These were the perfect mixture of smoothness and responsiveness. When I put energy into the ski, I got it back out. I'll go more into details with the carving, but that gives you the basic build. It also kind of has these race tips that you typically see on a slalom ski. These look a lot like slalom skis, but I would say that they ski somewhere between a slalom and GS ski. They feel like they're good at both turn radiuses, whereas typically with a race ski, it feels really good at one and struggles with another. So now that we've got that out of the way and you've got kind of a first look at the skis, I like this top sheet. It kind of looks cool depending on the angle. And then you've got this big Swiss flag on the bottoms, which is actually kind of a nice touch. Visually, they look very similar to the 2024, but on snow, they feel very different. Now that you've got a closer look, let's talk good, and then we'll talk about a couple of the little drawbacks. When I'm talking about the blend of carving bite and smoothness, I'm talking about how well it tracks once it gets on edge and how well it releases. And that's kind of the perfect blend. There's some skis where once they're locked in, they're really good. They're kind of on rails, like a Rossignol Black Ops Sender or a K2 Mindbender. It's like once you get it in there, it's good, but it's hard to release and get out of it. I feel like this is the perfect marriage of like really good turn initiation on rails when you want it to be, and then being able to release it in a quick radius turn if you need to, or being able to set up your line based on the shape of the hill, the pitch, or you know how much room you have to work with other people. This is the perfect blend of that. This is somebody really taking the time and fine-tuning that. I don't feel like there's any revolution, like the ski isn't gonna make you fly, it's not gonna make you walk on water, but what it does really well is fine-tuning exactly what timing you want for turn initiation, for how much smoothness you want through the turn. Then on top of that, it also manages to do a perfect job of chatter, where it manages to be smooth and damp without feeling like death or unresponsive, or you can't feel what's under your feet. It was chef kiss beautiful on both of those aspects. And honestly, it's not very often that you get a ski that does both of those. I feel like sometimes there are skis that do a perfect job with the dampness without being unresponsive, but the timing on the turn, you know, you can adjust to it, but it's not perfect. This somehow like manages to line up the perfect dampness and the perfect bite and turn shape. And it just kind of hits this perfect sweet spot. The one thing I will say about these skis also, and I know I'm kind of being dramatic, but honestly, I don't think I would test these unless you plan on buying them, because they kind of mess me up. Like, a good example from my trip to France, it's like when you have a French croissant or a French baguette, it is a whole different thing than what you get here in America. And it basically ruins 90% of all other croissants you get. Any croissant you might get at a grocery store, any croissant you might get at Starbucks, whatever, they taste like junk. They taste like dirt compared to a real French croissant. I mean, you can hand make stuff at home and it gets pretty close, but that's how I feel about the Stockli Montero. Now that I know how precise and how well a ski can carve, and how smooth something can feel while also feeling powerful, it kind of messes up things that you turn a blind eye to normally with a carving ski. For instance, I love my Atomic Mavericks, but there are things that I'm like, okay, well, the end of the turn can like, you know, do some stuff, but it's so good that it's kind of negligible, or it's such a good value, or it blends these lines so well that, you know, I'm not expecting it to be perfect. Now that I've been on the Stockli Montero, it almost feels like I need to like scale everything down a little bit. It's totally warped my mind on how smooth, powerful, perfectly timed, perfectly blended a ski really can be, that it makes you more aware of how imperfect your other skis are. And I think that I stand by, I like the Atomic Maverick, I like Salomon QSTs, I like all these other skis a lot. I love the Black Rose Octo. Those skis all do things that this Montero can't quite do, right? It doesn't have the range that those other skis have. But holy moly, once you're aware of how good something can be, you become inversely aware of the many shortcomings that other skis have compared to this ski. But let's move on to the next section. What did I say? I also said huge improvement from last year. The marriage of smooth turns and responsive turns really feels like such a better compromise than last year's. Yeah, I think in the previous years, it's like it was smooth, but the responsiveness was kind of lacking. And similar to last year, I think that if you are somebody who is still on race skis, it's time to like try something else out. If you still have old race skis and you know they're fun, they're responsive, but they're kind of hard on your legs or they're not as smooth as they could be, maybe try this out. I feel like it's a really good alternative for people who are still rocking race skis. There's other stuff out there that you could really enjoy. But now that we've talked about all the things I love about this ski, let's talk about some of the downsides, because even a ski as good as this Stockli Montero AR is going to have downsides, and let's talk about it. One maybe weak spot of the ski compared to other skis is it's not as versatile as other skis. This really is for people who love carving, but I respect that it's not trying to do that. I respect that it's not making compromises in its carving to try to appeal to a bunch of people who are going to do freestyle and they want it to do, you know, powder days as well. It manages fine off-trail, but this really is a specialized tool in carving people who want a perfect carving experience. And that's fine. I'm not like hating on it, but you know, that is a downside. So, or maybe not a downside, it's a qualifier. Like if you want it for that purpose, it does a great job at that, but don't expect it to do all these other things and then be upset when your, you know, $1,400 ski didn't, you know, cruise through powder lines like you wanted it to. Or, you know, didn't ride switch like you wanted to. This is for people who love carving and want to experience it at its finest. Let's see, the other downside is you have to pay more attention on these skis than other skis because the turns come up quick. This thing is a total rocket, and it doesn't allow you to be lazy with your turns like some other skis do. Like there are some skis where I can kind of sit on the tail probably longer than I should just because it feels good and I don't want to set up for the next turn or I'm just kind of cruising. These skis don't let you do that. You need to be ready for the next turn. You need to be ready to like get that new ski initiated. But you know, I think that's kind of a discipline thing. And these are bad habits I know I'm doing. So it's not even really a downside of the ski. I just think it needs to be for somebody who's ready to like be really aware and you know, you can't get away with as much on the ski because this thing is so fine-tuned. It's expecting you as a skier to be, you know, on it and good with your timing. Overall, I love skiing on a ski. It was kind of like that scene from Ratatouille. My youngest son loves Ratatouille. We watch it, you know, probably 3 times a week. In Ratatouille, there's a scene where the critic takes a bite of ratatouille and he's transformed back into his youth, and he remembers the love of his mother, and you know, he's just kind of torn away from the world and is just focused on this experience. And not to be dramatic, but that is kind of what I went through. I felt like I was racing again. I remembered what a perfect turn felt like, or what learning a new skill felt like in racing, or when you got that turn perfectly, or when you set up your line perfectly through a course. I felt like I was transformed back to being a racer again. I know that sounds tacky and corny, but this was like an out-of-body experience for me. I felt like a better skier. I remembered what I loved about carving. I don't know, like rediscovered my love for carving all in one day. It was beautiful. I know I'm like known as like the cynical ski reviewer, but man, I love these skis. I remembered being 16 years old. I worked for $7 an hour at a crappy ski shop, and I drove my grandfather's old van after he passed away. That was my vehicle. And I worked every day and spent a full summer. And I bought with my own money a pair of Volcal Race Tigers because they had the 3 claw marks instead of the 4, so they were half off. I didn't get any employee discount, which was great. And I bought those skis, and I had this deep love for these skis that I had worked all summer and bought myself. And I used to pay my own race entries with that same money. I had like a budget. I remember waxing my skis late at night because I took care of my own skis. I bought them with my own money, and I just had this love for this ski. That was mine, and that was this vehicle towards better carving. And that's how I felt about these today. I felt every single little turn. I felt how I could time it perfectly. I felt like I wasn't kind of bound by this ski's limits, but by my own limits of timing the turn. I was able to rediscover a smooth turn that I hadn't felt in like a decade or so. I don't know. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but man, I really loved these skis. And I hate owning objects. I hate materialism. But man, this was a very special experience, especially if your priority is carving and that's what you care about. I know for like half of you, you know, you're gonna kind of skip on to the next video, or you're looking at powder skis, and I love that feeling too. You know, over the years, I've kind of been discovering off-trail skiing and powder skiing, and carving has always just kind of been a thing I can do when the weather's bad, or when there's not snow, or when there's hardpack. And this brought me back to, oh yeah, I love carving. I love fresh corduroy. I love seeing what kind of edge angles I can get, or how low I can get my hip into the turn. And this completely reinvigorated that passion I have for skiing. You know, the tails don't want you to sit on them too long, but again, that's kind of a discipline thing. I do think these are very expensive. There's no getting around that. $1,400 for skis is a lot. But boy, it's a lot of ski. So I don't know. Sorry, I just had a very dramatic moment. I was like reliving my childhood skiing. I think that for score, I'm gonna give these a 9.7 if you don't care about price. I think they're probably a 9.6 if you do factor that in. This is a lot of money, but I think if you really just care about carving and you like aggressive turns and you want to master carving and you have a deep appreciation for it, then in my experience, you'll have a deep appreciation for these skis. Where I'm not paid by anyone, and my honest opinion is kind of the most valuable thing I own, so I'm always hesitant with giving these big monster high scores. But for me, there's nothing else like this. This was the best carving experience. You can get close. You know, there's a lot of skis that do other things better. If you looked at the total range of the ski, it's definitely limited, so that comes into it. But, you know, I think when you add in value, 9.6 is a very fair score. If money's no object to you and you just want the best overall performance, these are easily a 9.7. I don't know. I'm always very sensitive to that score because you could pretty much build out a full quiver for $1,400 when you factor in bindings too. You know, you could have like 2 or 3 pairs of skis. And I think if you are limited in like how much you're gonna spend on skis, then you should probably do that. You should probably build out a full quiver, right? If you don't have powder skis and you live in Idaho like I do, I would get a daily driver and get a powder ski. But if you're just looking to like rediscover your love for carving, I think this is where the ski's at. Kind of a different video. I didn't expect to get this dramatic or nostalgic. I will put a link down below if you want to buy these skis. I mean, don't feel pressured to buy it if you don't need it. But if you did find this review helpful and you're gonna buy them anyway, well, that's a great way to support the channel. That's about half of our total income each month is from people using those affiliate links. So if you're gonna buy them anyway, please use those links. I will have links down to Evo, REI, Backcountry, whatever your poison is, kind of for ordering skis online. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. That's a free way to support the channel. We also have channel memberships. But as always, more than anything, just thanks for watching my content. A big shout out to Stockli. Thank you for sending me these skis. I would not have had access to the 2025 with this big upgrade. And, you know, it wouldn't have really been something I could have reviewed without you guys sending it to me. I think it always shows how confident people are in their skis when they're willing to work with small independent reviewers. And anyway, just wanted to give you guys some appreciation. And thank you to you, the viewers, for watching all my videos and allowing me to have access to these kind of skis. It's never lost on me that I couldn't do this without you. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.